The Galactic Summit was underway, and the room buzzed with the quiet hum of advanced technology. Alien representatives from all corners of the universe filled the massive hall, seated at a long, sleek table made from materials unknown to humanity. At the far end of the room, Earth's representatives sat nervously, trying to maintain their composure as the eyes of the galaxy's most powerful beings bore down on them. Humanity had been the subject of mockery for centuries. To the rest of the universe, humans were seen as little more than primitive creatures, barely capable of advanced technology, and certainly no match for the vast empires that spanned across the stars. They had no ancient history of conquest, no interstellar power, and no high-tech weapons. In short, they were considered weak and unworthy of being part of the galactic community. But today at the summit, Earth's delegates were there for one reason: to make their case for survival. The Galactic Council was considering expanding its dominion and had set its sights on Earth, which was rich in natural resources. The humans had one last chance to prove that they were not as insignificant as the galaxy believed. As Earth's ambassador, Captain Elise Carter was tasked with defending her planet's honor and securing the survival of her people. Elise stood tall, her posture unwavering, as she made her plea to the Council. "If you decide to invade Earth," she said, her voice calm but filled with an underlying fire, "you will not face an easy conquest. We may not have your advanced fleets, but we have something that you cannot predict, something you cannot understand." Her words echoed in the large chamber, and for a moment, the room fell silent. The council members exchanged skeptical glances. Zorak, a towering alien general from the Varnox Empire, let out a low chuckle. His species was known for its technological superiority, and he found the very idea of humans attempting to stand up to them laughable. Zorak leaned forward, his piercing yellow eyes locking onto Elise's. "Human technology," he sneered, "is laughable at best. We've seen nothing from you that could even scratch the surface of our fleets. Your military is a joke, and your planet is nothing but a speck in the grand scheme of the galaxy." His words sent a ripple through the room as the other council members nodded in agreement. The atmosphere was thick with mockery, and Elise could feel her blood boiling. This was the moment when all the years of research and preparation would either fail or succeed. Earth's fate rested on the shoulders of one woman who now had to prove to these arrogant aliens that they had vastly underestimated humanity. Zorak's laughter filled the chamber. "We have faced countless enemies across the stars," he continued, "but never once have we encountered a threat from this insignificant rock. Earth will fall like all the others before it." He turned to the rest of the council, his voice dripping with arrogance. "And if they dare to resist, we will crush them underfoot." The council erupted in laughter, their voices ringing out across the chamber. Elise's heart raced, but she kept her composure. She knew that in this moment, she had to appear confident, no matter what. But just as Zorak was about to make another insulting remark, a faint, eerie sound echoed through the chamber, barely perceptible at first. It was a strange, pulsating hum, almost as if the very air was vibrating with a hidden force. Zorak paused mid-laugh, his expression faltering for the briefest of moments. The noise grew louder, and the room fell silent. Elise's eyes darted to the console at the far end of the room, where the Galactic Council's head technician was frantically checking the data. The technician, a nervous alien with shimmering silver skin, stood up suddenly. "There's a signal," he said, his voice trembling. "It's coming from deep space, near the Sol system. The source is unknown, but it's powerful." The council members exchanged confused glances. Zorak's face darkened, his previous arrogance replaced with a flicker of uncertainty. Elise's mind raced. She knew what this signal was. She knew exactly what it meant. The Shadow Dreadnought, Earth's greatest secret, had just been detected. But that was all the council knew for now. They had no idea what the Shadow Dreadnought truly was, or what it was capable of. They had no knowledge of the cutting-edge technology, the vast weapons systems, and the incredible destructive potential that lay dormant within that ship. And more importantly, they had no idea that it was Earth's last line of defense. The weapon humanity had developed in secret, not just for this moment, but for any future confrontation with superior alien forces. As the technician continued to analyze the signal, a strange feeling of dread began to settle in the council room. Zorak frowned, his usual arrogance slowly giving way to wariness. He knew that Earth had not been capable of such a feat. The galaxy had been watching Earth closely for centuries, and yet nothing like this had ever appeared on their radar. Elise kept her expression neutral, but her heart was pounding in her chest. She was in the midst of a galaxy-altering moment, and the most important weapon of all, the Dreadnought, was now part of the equation. But she couldn't let the Council know how much she knew. She couldn't reveal the Dreadnought's full capabilities just yet. There was too much at stake. The technician turned to the Council, his voice filled with uncertainty. "We're still trying to pinpoint the exact location of the signal. It's unlike anything we've ever encountered. It's almost as if it's cloaked, hidden from our sensors." Zorak's eyes narrowed, and his voice grew cold. "Cloaked? What do you mean, cloaked?" "It's as though the ship is invisible." The technician stammered. "We can't track its movements. It's unlike any technology we've ever encountered." Zorak leaned back in his chair, his mind racing. He had underestimated the humans, and that error was starting to cost him. The council members exchanged uneasy glances, and for the first time since the summit began, the mocking tone in the room shifted. The aliens were no longer laughing. Something had changed. Elise knew this was her chance. She could see the uncertainty creeping into their minds. She had to play this carefully. "Perhaps it's time to reconsider your assumptions about humanity," she said, her voice steady, yet tinged with an edge of defiance. "We may not have the fleets or the technology you think we lack, but there are things you cannot understand, and we have secrets you cannot begin to fathom." The council fell silent as Elise's words hung in the air. For the first time, the aliens were no longer certain. They had laughed at humanity, believing Earth was a powerless, insignificant planet. But now, as the signal from the Shadow Dreadnought continued to echo through the chamber, they began to realize that they might have made a fatal mistake. Zorak stared at Elise for a moment, then stood up, his voice low and threatening. "We shall see," he said, his tone no longer filled with mockery, but with an icy resolve. "But know this, Captain. If you think your Dreadnought can protect you, you are gravely mistaken." Elise didn't flinch. She was certain now. She had one weapon, and she wasn't about to let them take it from her. The Dreadnought would be their downfall, whether they knew it or not. And as the summit continued, the true power of humanity, hidden in the shadows, was about to be revealed. The laughter from the alien council still echoed in Elise's mind as she left the summit hall. The mockery of humanity, the belief that Earth was no more than a dot in the galaxy, was like a weight around her chest. The moment she had long feared was now inevitable. The council had declared their intentions. The time for diplomacy was over. The galaxy's most powerful beings were now preparing to destroy Earth. But while the aliens laughed and made plans to invade, the true reality of the situation was dawning on Captain Elise Carter. Time was running out. Back in the secure military facility, Elise sat alone in her office, staring at the holographic map of Earth. Alien ships, massive and menacing, were already heading toward Earth's orbit. There was no time to waste. Every second counted. She couldn't afford to let the aliens think they had already won. They had underestimated humanity before, and now it was up to her to prove them wrong. Elise's thoughts drifted to the Shadow Dreadnought. This mysterious, cloaked ship was humanity's greatest secret, and its power was unknown even to her. She had been selected to command it, but until now, she had only seen the ship in its earliest stages of development. Today, however, it was time for the final testing. As Elise walked through the hallways of the military base, she could feel the tension in the air. Soldiers hurriedly moved through the corridors, working with a sense of urgency. The base was on high alert. The attack was imminent, and everyone knew it. Elise entered the final testing chamber, where the Dreadnought's crew was already gathered. There, standing before the massive control panel, were the top engineers, scientists, and military strategists, people who had worked for years on the secret project. They all turned as she entered, each face reflecting the weight of the situation. "Captain," one of the engineers said, his voice tense, "we've completed the final system check. The Dreadnought is ready, but we haven't fully tested its cloaking capabilities in real combat conditions." Elise nodded. The ship was cloaked, hidden from detection. It had been designed for surprise, for the moment when humanity needed to strike back against overwhelming odds. But as much as she wanted to trust it, the truth was that no one knew how effective it would be against the alien forces. "We'll need to take a risk," she said, her voice steady. "Prepare the crew for launch. We need to get this ship into position before Zorek's fleet reaches Earth." As the team scrambled to finalize preparations, Elise took a moment to think. The Dreadnought was their greatest weapon, but it was also humanity's last hope. The aliens had underestimated Earth, thinking they could simply crush it under the weight of their warships, but they had no idea what was coming. Outside the base, the sky darkened as the alien ships approached. Massive warships, each one the size of a city, blotted out the stars. Zorek's fleet was unlike anything Earth had ever seen. The alien technology was far beyond anything humanity could have hoped to match in terms of raw firepower. But they didn't know about the Dreadnought. The clock was ticking. Earth had only hours, maybe minutes, before the alien forces would begin their attack. Elise couldn't afford to hesitate. She turned back to the team, her voice clear and commanding. "Launch the Dreadnought," she ordered. As the command was given, the massive hangar doors of the base opened, revealing the Dreadnought in all its glory. The ship was a marvel of engineering, a sleek black vessel with angular shapes and glowing red lights. Its cloaking system was activated, rendering it invisible to the naked eye. No one outside would be able to see it. Inside the ship, Elise and her crew took their positions, preparing for the mission ahead. The tension was palpable. They were heading into a battle that no one had prepared for, not even them. But there was no turning back now. The ship's engines roared to life, and the Dreadnought silently rose into the sky, vanishing into the vastness of space. Elise's mind raced as they flew toward Earth's orbit, where Zorek's fleet was gathering. If they didn't act fast, humanity would be wiped out before they even had a chance to fight back. Meanwhile, back on the surface, the alien forces were making their move. Zorek's fleet descended toward Earth, massive warships firing warning shots to intimidate the human defenders. The aliens had no intention of negotiating. Their plan was simple: obliterate everything in their path. Zorek, aboard his flagship, watched the Earth below. His eyes gleamed with cold satisfaction as he commanded his fleet to begin their bombardment. The first wave of alien ships unleashed a barrage of energy beams toward Earth's cities. Buildings exploded in massive fireballs, and the sky turned into a hellish orange glow. "This is it," Zorek muttered to his fleet commander. "We show the humans what happens when they dare to resist the galactic powers." The first wave of attacks hit Earth hard. Major cities were reduced to rubble in minutes. The human military, vastly outgunned, could do little more than watch in despair as their defenses were shredded by the alien weapons. But what the aliens didn't know was that Earth wasn't done fighting. As the alien fleet rained destruction down on Earth, they were unaware of the shadow that was closing in on them. The Dreadnought was moving into position, its cloaking system keeping it hidden from Zorek's fleet. Elise and her crew were poised to strike when the moment came. On the ground, panic was spreading. Governments were scrambling to evacuate citizens, military units were in chaos, and the alien assault seemed unstoppable. It looked as though humanity would be wiped out in a matter of hours. But the final test of the Dreadnought was about to begin. Elise watched as the ship silently moved into position, preparing to face the alien fleet. The Dreadnought wasn't just a ship, it was Earth's last chance for survival. As the ship neared the alien fleet, The crew made final adjustments. Zorak's ships were still oblivious to the invisible threat closing in on them. Illis gripped the controls, waiting for the right moment to strike. Time seemed to slow as she prepared to give the order. Earth's fate rested on her shoulders, and the Dreadnought's unknown power. The aliens were about to learn the hard way that humanity had one secret they couldn't see coming. The sky above Earth was darkened with the shadows of alien warships. Zorak's fleet had arrived, and the invasion had begun. Massive ships, each one as large as a city, descended from the heavens. As they approached Earth, a deadly silence fell across the planet. Then, in an instant, it shattered. The alien forces unleashed their orbital bombardment, focusing their firepower on the heart of humanity, its cities. New York, the bustling metropolis, became the first target. A bright flash lit up the skyline, followed by an earth-shaking explosion that sent shockwaves across the city. Buildings crumbled in an instant, their towering structures reduced to rubble. The streets, once full of life, were now blanketed in ash and smoke. It was a blow that would have crushed any other civilization, but not Earth. Not yet. Elsewhere on Earth, the attack was just as brutal. Alien warships hovered above major cities, raining down destruction. The sounds of chaos filled the air, sirens, screams, and the horrifying rumble of alien weaponry tearing through the atmosphere. It was an overwhelming assault that shook humanity to its core. For a brief moment, it seemed as though the Earth was doomed. In the midst of this, human resistance was futile. The Earth's military, outmatched and outgunned, launched everything they had at the alien invaders. But their weapons were no match for the advanced alien technology. Fighter jets exploded in midair, and missile after missile was shot down before it could even reach its target. The alien ships effortlessly deflected human attacks with their energy shields, leaving Earth's defenders powerless. The military leaders back on Earth could do nothing but watch as the destruction unfolded. In their eyes, the situation was grim. Humanity had been cornered, but even in the face of such overwhelming odds, there was still hope. Captain Elise Carter wasn't ready to give up just yet. She had been waiting for this moment, the moment when Earth's greatest weapon, the Shadow Dreadnought, would reveal itself to the alien invaders. Elise stood in the command center, watching the chaos unfold on the monitors. The enemy fleet was causing destruction on a scale unlike anything Earth had ever seen. But in the back of her mind, one thought kept her grounded. The Dreadnought was their only hope. It was their last chance, and it had to be used now. She turned to the technician standing by her side. "Get the Dreadnought ready for launch," she ordered. The technician nodded quickly, his fingers flying over the control panel. He activated the cloaking system, making the massive ship invisible to the alien radar. It was a technology that Earth had developed in secret, one that would allow them to strike without the enemy ever knowing they were coming. Elise's heart raced as the countdown began. The fate of humanity rested on the success of this mission. If the Dreadnought could launch undetected and destroy just one of the alien ships, it would be enough to turn the tide of the battle. She watched the monitors, waiting for the signal. The first wave of the alien attack had been brutal, but it was far from over. Zorak's fleet wasn't going to stop until Earth had been completely crushed. The alien general believed the humans had already been defeated. He couldn't understand how a species so primitive could have any chance against the might of his fleet. He had underestimated them, but he was about to learn a painful lesson. The Dreadnought, cloaked and silent, was now en route to Earth's orbit. Elise and her crew held their breath, knowing that the ship's presence remained undetected. It was a race against time. The alien forces were advancing, their warships positioned over major cities, ready to launch another wave of destruction. Elise's fingers tightened on the armrest of her seat. The tension was unbearable. The Dreadnought was their only hope, and she was placing everything on its success. She had no backup plan, no other option. If this failed, humanity would fall. But the aliens, especially Zorak, were far too confident. They thought Earth had no more tricks up its sleeve, that humanity was finished. They were wrong. As Zorak stood on the bridge of his flagship, watching Earth burn, he allowed himself a moment of satisfaction. His fleet had torn through the human defenses with ease, and the final victory was within his grasp. Earth was no longer a threat. Soon, his forces would be sweeping through the planet's surface, claiming it for the Galactic Empire. He turned to his fleet commander, a sneer forming on his lips. "Send the final wave. Let's show them what happens when they dare to resist." The commander nodded, and a message was sent to the rest of the fleet. The final bombardment would begin. The end of Earth was at hand. But Zorak wasn't prepared for what was about to happen next. On the other side of the planet, deep in the heart of Earth's military forces, the Dreadnought was silently moving into position. The cloaking device ensured that no one, not even the most advanced alien sensors, could detect the ship. Its weapons systems were fully charged, and its crew was ready. Elis was ready. The first wave of alien attacks had destroyed cities, decimated military forces, and left the world in chaos. But now, the tide was about to turn. The Dreadnought was in position, and it was time for humanity to strike back. As the Dreadnought's cloaking system disengaged, revealing its massive, sleek form, Zorak's fleet remained unaware. They thought victory was certain, but the Shadow Dreadnought had come to end that arrogance. Captain Elise Carter, her hand steady despite the chaos around her, spoke the words that would change everything. Fire. In an instant, the Dreadnought unleashed its full arsenal. The first shot hit the closest alien warship, and the explosion rocked the fleet. The massive ship disintegrated in a burst of light, sending debris scattering through space. Zorak's fleet was thrown into confusion. "What is this?" Zorak shouted in disbelief as his fleet commander rushed to the control panel. How did they know? The alien ships, once so confident in their power, were now fighting for survival. The Shadow Dreadnought had made its first strike, and it was only the beginning. As the alien fleet continued its assault on Earth, Zorak and his commanders grew increasingly confident. They believed the battle was all but won. The human resistance was in disarray. Cities were burning, and their military forces were shattered. Nothing could stand against the might of the Galactic Empire. But the aliens didn't know that Earth had one final weapon, one that had remained hidden in the shadows, waiting for the right moment. That moment had arrived. The Shadow Dreadnought, Earth's most powerful ship, emerged from the cloak of invisibility. At first, the alien ships didn't notice. They were too focused on their victory, too certain of their superiority. But then, there was a shift in the air, a subtle vibration that signaled something had changed. With a thunderous roar, the Dreadnought deactivated its cloaking device, revealing itself in all its terrifying glory. The massive ship, which had been waiting in silence, now loomed over the alien fleet like a predator about to strike. The Dreadnought's sleek, angular design reflected the light of distant stars as it emerged from the darkness. It was the size of a small moon, its powerful engines glowing the deep blue as they began to power up. The alien fleet, still unaware of its presence, now realized the truth. They were not facing an ordinary enemy. Zorak's eyes widened in shock. "What is that?" he whispered, his voice trembling. The fleet commanders around him were just as stunned. They had underestimated humanity in every way possible. And now, they were about to pay for that mistake. The Dreadnought's weapons systems powered up, and the calm that had settled over the battlefield was shattered by the hum of energy blasts charging. The first shot fired from the Dreadnought hit an alien destroyer dead center. The massive ship exploded in a burst of light, sending debris spiraling out into space. The shockwave rippled through the surrounding ships, knocking them off course. Panic spread through the alien fleet. They had never expected anything like this. In rapid succession, the Dreadnought fired again. This time, its energy blasts struck multiple ships, each shot tearing through alien armor with ease. The alien ships, once so sure of their victory, were now helpless before Earth's hidden weapon. It was as though the Dreadnought had been designed specifically to counter the alien technology, with weapons that ripped through their shields like paper. The high-tech design of the Dreadnought made it a formidable force, and the alien fleet was now paying the price for their arrogance. Zorak's fleet, once so confident, was now in chaos. The alien commanders scrambled to organize a counterattack, but their attempts were futile. The Dreadnought's weapons were far too advanced, and the ship itself moved with a grace and precision that the aliens could not match. Every shot from the Dreadnought was calculated, and every blast found its mark. The alien fleet, once the most powerful in the galaxy, was now being torn apart by a single ship. Back on Earth, Captain Elise Carter watched the battle unfold on her command center screens. Her heart raced with pride and anxiety. She had put everything on the line to bring the Dreadnought into play, and now it was finally paying off. The ship she had helped design, the ship that had been Earth's secret weapon for so long, was now showing its true power. As the battle raged on, Elise felt a sense of relief. For so long, she had carried the weight of the world on her shoulders. She had watched as the alien fleet destroyed city after city, as Earth's defenders fought valiantly, but struggled to make a dent in the overwhelming power of the invaders. But now, the tide had turned. The Dreadnought was their salvation, and it was proving to be everything they had hoped for. The crew members aboard the Dreadnought were working tirelessly, coordinating the attack with precision. Elise could see the focus in their eyes, the determination to win this battle and save their home. Every one of them knew what was at stake, and they were willing to sacrifice everything for the victory. The crew members had put their faith in each other, and now that trust was paying off. One of the Dreadnought's crew members, Lieutenant Anna Harper, had been with Elise from the beginning. She had watched as Earth's military struggled to find a way to fight back against the alien invaders. She had stood by Elise's side when the decision had been made to bring the Dreadnought into the fight. Now, as she watched the alien ships fall one by one, her heart swelled with pride. "This is it," Anna muttered to herself, a small smile on her lips. "We're going to win." Elise, who had been monitoring the battle from the command center, turned to Anna with a nod of approval. "We're not done yet," she said, her voice steady but filled with emotion. "We've come too far to lose now." The battle between the Dreadnought and the alien fleet was relentless. It seemed as though the alien ships were being destroyed faster than they could react. Each energy blast from the Dreadnought ripped through their ranks, and with every ship that fell, Earth's forces felt a renewed sense of hope. This was a battle they could win, and they were going to give everything they had to ensure that they did. As the alien fleet began to retreat, Zorak's anger grew. He could hardly believe what was happening. How could this be? How could humanity have such a weapon? His fleet had been destroyed by a single ship. His confidence had turned to fear, and now he understood the gravity of his mistake. The Shadow Dreadnought had emerged from the shadows, and it was showing no mercy. It was humanity's greatest weapon, and it was delivering the ultimate strike to the alien invaders. As the Dreadnought continued its relentless assault, the alien fleet was slowly but surely being wiped out. And with each victory, the humans knew they were one step closer to defeating their oppressors once and for all. The Alien Council, once so confident in their superiority, now watched in anger and disbelief as their mighty fleet was torn apart by Earth's secret weapon, the Shadow Dreadnought. Zorak, the proud general, had never imagined that a human ship with its advanced technology could challenge the Empire's vast military power. But now it was undeniable. Earth had proven itself a force to be reckoned with. Frustrated and enraged by the unexpected turn of events, the Council knew that their only chance to secure victory lay in one final push. They had one last fleet, one final attempt to break humanity's resolve and crush the Dreadnought. Zorak, now desperate to redeem his pride, ordered the last of their warships to be sent to Earth. This was to be their ultimate assault. As the alien ships prepared to launch, the Council's fear and fury merged into a plan for retaliation. Zorak himself would lead the final fleet, intending to use everything at his disposal to bring down the Dreadnought and finish the war once and for all. The fate of Earth now rested on a single battle, and it was clear that this would be no ordinary conflict. Zorak's fleet, once so confident, was now in chaos. The alien commanders scrambled to organize a counterattack, but their attempts were futile. The Dreadnought's weapons were far too advanced, and the ship itself moved with a grace and precision that the aliens could not match. Every shot from the Dreadnought was calculated, and every blast found its mark. The alien fleet, once the most powerful in the galaxy, was now being torn apart by a single ship. Back on Earth, Captain Elise Carter watched the battle unfold on her command center screens. Her heart raced with pride and anxiety. She had put everything on the line to bring the Dreadnought into play, and now it was finally paying off. The ship she had helped design, the ship that had been Earth's secret weapon for so long, was now showing its true power. As the battle raged on, Elise felt a sense of relief. For so long, she had carried the weight of the world on her shoulders. She had watched as the alien fleet destroyed city after city, as Earth's defenders fought valiantly but struggled to make a dent in the overwhelming power of the invaders. But now, the tide had turned. The Dreadnought was their salvation, and it was proving to be everything they had hoped for. The crew members aboard the Dreadnought were working tirelessly, coordinating the attack with precision. Elise could see the focus in their eyes, the determination to win this battle and save their home. Every one of them knew what was at stake, and they were willing to sacrifice everything for the victory. The crew members had put their faith in each other, and now that trust was paying off. One of the Dreadnought's crew members, Lieutenant Anna Harper, had been with Elise from the beginning. She had watched as Earth's military struggled to find a way to fight back against the alien invaders. She had stood by Elise's side when the decision had been made to bring the Dreadnought into the fight. Now, as she watched the alien ships fall one by one, her heart swelled with pride. "This is it," Anna muttered to herself, a small smile on her lips. "We're going to win." Elise, who had been monitoring the battle from the command center, turned to Anna with a nod of approval. "We're not done yet," she said, her voice steady but filled with emotion. "We've come too far to lose now." The battle between the Dreadnought and the alien fleet was relentless. It seemed as though the alien ships were being destroyed faster than they could react. Each energy blast from the Dreadnought ripped through their ranks, and with every ship that fell, Earth's forces felt a renewed sense of hope. This was a battle they could win, and they were going to give everything they had to ensure that they did. As the alien fleet began to retreat, Zorak's anger grew. He could hardly believe what was happening. How could this be? How could humanity have such a weapon? His fleet had been destroyed by a single ship. His confidence had turned to fear, and now he understood the gravity of his mistake. The Shadow Dreadnought had emerged from the shadows, and it was showing no mercy. It was humanity's greatest weapon, and it was delivering the ultimate strike to the alien invaders. As the Dreadnought continued its relentless assault, the alien fleet was slowly but surely being wiped out. And with each victory, the humans knew they were one step closer to defeating their oppressors once and for all. The Alien Council, once so confident in their superiority, now watched in anger and disbelief as their mighty fleet was torn apart by Earth's secret weapon, the Shadow Dreadnought. Zorak, the proud general, had never imagined that a human ship with its advanced technology could challenge the Empire's vast military power. But now it was undeniable. Earth had proven itself a force to be reckoned with. Frustrated and enraged by the unexpected turn of events, the Council knew that their only chance to secure victory lay in one final push. They had one last fleet, one final attempt to break humanity's resolve and crush the Dreadnought. Zorak, now desperate to redeem his pride, ordered the last of their warships to be sent to Earth. This was to be their ultimate assault. As the alien ships prepared to launch, the Council's fear and fury merged into a plan for retaliation. Zorak himself would lead the final fleet, intending to use everything at his disposal to bring down the Dreadnought and finish the war once and for all. The fate of Earth now rested on a single battle, and it was clear that this would be no ordinary conflict. On Earth, Captain Elise Carter and her crew stood ready for the final showdown. They had successfully fought back the first waves of the alien assault, but the battle was far from over. The Shadow Dreadnought had proven itself as Earth's ultimate weapon, but they knew the aliens would come prepared for a much stronger counterattack. Elise and her team had no illusions. The aliens would be relentless. The military strategy was simple yet daring. Captain Elise and her crew would attempt to trap the remaining alien ships in an asteroid field, using the terrain to their advantage. The plan was risky, but it was their only option. The Shadow Dreadnought, with its cloaking device and superior weapons, would be the perfect vessel to lure the alien fleet into a narrow region of space. Once the aliens were trapped, Earth's forces would unleash a barrage of strikes to obliterate them. As the final alien fleet advanced toward Earth, Elise gave the order to move. The Dreadnought activated its cloaking device, becoming invisible to the alien fleet. With its advanced stealth capabilities, the ship silently slipped into the asteroid field, a maze of floating rocks and debris that could easily confuse the most advanced sensors. Behind them, Earth's remaining forces moved in formation, ready to strike at a moment's notice. The alien fleet was large and heavily armed, but they were not used to dealing with such advanced tactics. They sailed into the asteroid field, their warships moving cautiously, unaware that the Dreadnought was lying in wait. Zorak was confident that this final assault would break Earth's spirit. He had no idea what was coming. The trap was set. The first alien ship entered the field, and Elise gave the signal. The Shadow Dreadnought appeared out of nowhere, its massive hull charging forward with incredible speed. The Dreadnought's weapons fired in rapid succession, blasting alien ships from every direction. The element of surprise was on their side, and the alien fleet struggled to react. What followed was a chaotic and intense battle. The Dreadnought's cloaking system allowed it to strike without warning, hitting alien ships with pinpoint accuracy. Energy blasts from the Dreadnought tore through enemy vessels, causing massive explosions in space. At the same time, the smaller Earth ships launched their own assault, using the asteroid field for cover as they fired their weapons from hidden positions. The chase was on. Alien warships tried to maneuver, but the asteroid field proved to be their greatest enemy. The constant shifting of debris and rocks made it difficult for the aliens to maintain proper formations, and Earth's forces used that to their advantage. Every turn was a potential death trap for the invaders, and the battle quickly turned into a deadly game of cat and mouse. Despite their superior numbers, the aliens were being picked off one by one. However, Zorak was not ready to give up. In the midst of the chaos, he activated his final weapon, an enormous, heavily armed warship capable of unleashing devastation on a planetary scale. This weapon, the Annihilator, had the power to destroy Earth with a single strike. Zorak's cold eyes gleamed with determination as he watched the warship power up. He knew this was his final chance to crush the humans once and for all. The Annihilator was not just a ship, it was a symbol of their unyielding power. And with it, he believed he could wipe Earth off the map and make humanity bow before the Galactic Empire. Elise knew that the alien forces would stop at nothing to win, and she understood that the Annihilator was their last hope. But she also knew that this weapon, despite its immense power, was not invincible. The question was, could she take the risk of confronting the Annihilator head-on and destroying it before it had the chance to fire upon Earth? The Shadow Dreadnought, cloaked once more, raced toward the heart of the alien fleet. Elise knew that she would have to make a choice, take down the Annihilator or take out the remaining ships and hope for the best. It was a life-or-death decision, one that would determine the future of humanity. As the Annihilator powered up its main cannon, Elise hesitated for only a moment before giving the command. "Prepare for a direct assault," she said, her voice calm but filled with determination. "Take down that ship." The Dreadnought emerged from the cloak once again. directly in the path of the Annihilator. The massive warship fired its deadly beam, but Elise had anticipated it. The Dreadnought darted to the side, narrowly avoiding the blast, and unleashed its own energy weapons in return. The battle was now a race against time. The fate of Earth rested on the success of this attack. Would they destroy the Annihilator in time, or would the final alien weapon obliterate everything they had fought for? The stakes had never been higher, and Captain Elise Carter was ready to risk everything to protect her planet. The Shadow Dreadnought, Earth's ultimate weapon, hovered in the cold void of space, its systems primed for the final assault. The alien flagship, the Annihilator, loomed in the distance, a massive, intimidating vessel that had once seemed unbeatable. But now, the tables had turned. Earth had fought back against the invaders, and the time had come for the final showdown. This battle would determine everything: the fate of Earth, the end of the alien invasion, and the future of humanity itself. Captain Elise Carter stood at the command center of the Dreadnought, her hand steady on the controls. She had faced overwhelming odds before, but this was different. This wasn't just about surviving. It was about securing Earth's place in the galaxy, proving that humanity was not to be underestimated. The crew around her was ready, their eyes focused, knowing the stakes were higher than ever. There was no turning back now. The alien fleet had been scattered and decimated over the course of the battle, but the final strike was still to come. The Annihilator, Zorak's flagship, was the heart of the alien forces. If they could destroy it, the remaining alien ships would be vulnerable and disorganized. Elise's team had already dealt significant blows to the invaders, but Zorak and his fleet were not going to make this easy. Zorak himself, seated on the bridge of his flagship, watched the approaching Dreadnought with a mixture of anger and disbelief. He had watched his fleet crumble, ship by ship, and now his ultimate weapon was being targeted. His pride, his empire, his dreams of domination, all of it hung in the balance. The humans, who had been nothing more than an afterthought before this war, had somehow turned the tide. He could not accept it. The Dreadnought moved into position, cloaking itself to remain hidden just out of sight of the alien flagship. With one final command, Captain Elise gave the order to engage. The ship's powerful weapons came online, and the massive cannons of the Dreadnought fired in rapid succession, sending high-tech missiles and concentrated energy beams hurtling toward the Annihilator. Each blast hit with surgical precision, tearing through the alien ship's defenses as if they were made of paper. The Annihilator, once a symbol of the alien council's power, was now crumbling under the weight of Earth's superior technology. Explosions rang out across its hull as the Shadow Dreadnought's missiles punched through the alien shields. The air in the command center was thick with tension as the crew watched the battle unfold. The Annihilator's once mighty weapons fired back, but their shots were wild, scattered in panic as the Dreadnought moved with incredible agility, avoiding the blasts with ease. On the bridge of the Dreadnought, Captain Elise watched the alien flagship begin to falter. The mighty ship's shields were failing, and the first signs of critical damage began to appear. The enemy's fire weakened, their counterattacks becoming more desperate. Elise's eyes narrowed with determination. This was the moment. This was the turning point in the war. With a final devastating barrage, the Shadow Dreadnought unleashed its most powerful weapons. A massive energy beam, charged to full power, sliced through the heart of the Annihilator's hull. The alien flagship shuddered violently as its engines exploded, sending shockwaves across space. It was no longer a formidable force. It was a broken wreck. Zorak stood frozen in disbelief. His flagship, the pride of the alien fleet, was dying before his eyes. The once mighty commander of the alien forces, who had believed in the superiority of his species, now realized that his failure was imminent. The defeat was not just a loss in battle. It was a loss of everything he had fought for. His dream of conquering Earth was crumbling, and his last hope, his flagship, was falling apart. As the final explosion rocked the Annihilator, Zorak knew there was no way out. His ship was destroyed, and with it, his entire fleet was thrown into chaos. The remaining alien ships, without leadership and direction, began to scatter, disoriented and defeated. Their morale shattered. The once dominant force was now a broken shadow of its former self. In the heart of the Dreadnought, Captain Elise exhaled a breath she didn't realize she had been holding. The battle was over. The alien forces had been defeated, and Earth had won. She allowed herself a moment of quiet relief, knowing that the cost of this victory had been high. But it was worth it. Humanity had shown that even in the face of overwhelming odds, they could rise up and fight back. The crew erupted into cheers, their faces lighting up with disbelief and triumph. They had done it. Earth had not only survived, but had emerged victorious. The Shadow Dreadnought had become a symbol of humanity's strength, a testament to their resilience and unity. And Captain Elise Carter, their leader, had guided them through the storm. As the alien fleet retreated into the darkness of space, the remaining human forces began to regroup. Earth was safe, for now. The cost had been high, but the reward was greater than they could have imagined. Humanity had proven its place in the universe, and no one would ever underestimate them again. Back on Earth, the news spread like wildfire. The entire world watched in awe as the alien invaders were defeated, their forces driven from their planet. The sense of unity among the people of Earth had never been stronger. People from all walks of life, soldiers, scientists, civilians, came together to celebrate their victory. They had faced extinction, but through courage, teamwork, and determination, they had overcome it. In the aftermath of the battle, Captain Elise and her crew were celebrated as heroes. The standing ovation that greeted them as they returned to Earth was nothing short of a triumph. Elise, ever humble, knew that it was the collective effort of everyone, her crew, the military, and the people of Earth, that had made this victory possible. She stood proud, not for herself, but for humanity as a whole. This was their moment, their time to shine. As the cheers rang out, Elise looked up at the stars. The war was over, but the journey was far from finished. Earth had proven itself capable of standing tall in the face of an overwhelming enemy. But as they looked toward the future, they knew that new challenges would rise. But for now, they could savor their victory. Humanity had won, and they had earned their place in the galaxy.